And we're just now getting word that several similar objects are being sighted in the skies over North America. Now this is becoming...
Imagine, this is the first thing you see when first starting up this game. I don't even know how to put it into words, it's so awesome. Incoming copyright claim aside, this is the amazing intro to the original Prey, an FPS released back in 2006 as a collaboration between Human Head Studios and 3D Realms. With the reboot of the series literally being weeks away, I figured I'd take a look at the first game to see how different it really is in comparison. And shit, different it certainly is. Enter Domasi Tawodi, or Tommy, a young Cherokee US war vet and mechanic who wants to move off the reservation that he, his grandfather Anisi, and his girlfriend Jenny all live on. Suddenly, as you saw before, they all get abducted aboard a giant living spaceship called the Sphere. After having been bailed out by an unknown escapee, it's now up to Tommy to learn the layout of the mysterious ship and use the alien weapons against its inhabitants to save his girlfriend and the world as we know it. Now again, what I really like about the game is how quick it tries and succeeds to pull you in such a short time. First off, we have the great tutorial intro that lets you freely figure out the basic mechanics on your own within a safe environment, like moving around, basic combat, and introducing interactive objects such as a touchscreen jukebox with multiple licensed songs on it. They ain't fucking around either. We got Barracuda by Heart, Another Thing Coming by Judas Priest, Cat Scratch Fever by Ted Nugent, and even some lesser known indie bands. Yeah, crazy, right? And the weird thing is, you're only able to interact with the jukebox like twice in the entire game. It's a lot of effort for such a small detail, and I don't know why, but I really admire that. So we go from a fairly quick, non-handholdy tutorial to really setting the scene for where you're going to be for the rest of the game. Prey continues to not fuck around by showing you all these graphic and unsettling things going on within the sphere.
Oh my god, no! No!
I think that with the sheer contrast from the tutorial level to this was the best possible way it could have started. It shows that your enemies are a legitimate fucking threat and that you, at the moment, are powerless to stop them. Makes things more engaging and the overall climb to become more powerful a bit more rewarding, which is good. That now aside, for 2006, the graphics also don't look too bad. The game's running on a modified version of Doom 3's id Tech 4 engine, so everything may not look its greatest, but I feel it still holds up decently well. What definitely looks the best though is especially the shadows and lighting, as both those and the well-designed textures really accentuate the grimy and disgusting design of the sphere, as pipes are just moving intestines, or some of the doors that you walk through could be adorned with either giant teeth, or just be plain slimy buttholes.
Oh, nasty.
Character models also have a good amount of detail, and their animations are also very fluid, almost never janky at all, as aliens jump from place to place, or run back and forth. It all flows together very well. Even when expressions change on characters' faces, it's still relatively smooth as fuck, which, for I believe being actually animated by hand and not motion captured, they did a fine job, much better than what we get out of by hand animation now.
Alec is dead.
So now we move on to the most important part of what makes Prey unique, its gameplay. Although not being all that fast-paced, Prey's core roots stem from old-school shooters, which, co-developed by 3D Realms, it's obvious where it got its heritage from. And I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's like you can feel it in how you move, the weapons that you use, the enemies that you face. All of it feels natural and arcadey, which I like. Despite the fact that your arsenal is limited to about 7 weapons, they're all different, creative, and fun to use. So you'll probably look beyond that, maybe. Oh, and they also have alternate fire modes. For example, the first gun you get is like an assault rifle, but it also has this railgun-esque sniper mode. Another example given would be these little 3-legged crab things. They act as grenades, and with their alternate function, you can switch between them sticking to objects or simply bouncing off of them. Oh yeah, and they also make this cute little noise when you throw them. Other weapons include a giant minigun monster hand that also has a grenade launcher on it, a gun that can suck up various energy cells that change how the gun acts, and a rocket launcher, I think, that deploys a shield. A lot of these weapons I feel were well designed and very creative. It's honestly just a shame we didn't get any more of them. One of Prey's most standout features, however, is its introduction to portals and changing gravity. First up, the portal system. You can find portals all over the place within the sphere, in boxes and doorways, and on occasion you end up having to solve a puzzle with them to progress, which is a nice change of pace. Most enemy troops can also open up portals, and they can jump through them and attack you, in which you can also go through certain portals that they leave open, or just look and shoot through them. Which, looking back, I still find this really cool, just going back and seeing the foundation being built for which Portal would go on to perfect about a year later. It's really interesting. Now on to gravity. Most of the corridors in the sphere were designed to look like you could walk on the ceilings or on the sides of the walls. And that's because you can. Well, most of the time. These little pads you shoot allow you to change the direction that gravity flows. And much like the portals, you also have to use these to solve puzzles once in a while. When these pads aren't around, you can also enable these bridges, which allow you to walk on the walls so long as you don't jump off. Both of these change up the gameplay dramatically, as you have to focus a bit more as to where enemy fire might be coming from, as someone could have just popped out of a portal right behind you, or someone could be shooting at you from the ceiling and you wouldn't even know. The changing dynamic of gravity really spices things up and adds an interesting approach to combat. I also like how interactivity is kind of a big part of the game, whether it be through containers or keypads, or pushing these little bomb things towards doors covered in goop and just shooting them to proceed, or even just goofing off and playing poker. It's different and I like that it exists. Another smaller element is Tommy's Cherokee power of the Spirit Walk. There are instances where you have to disable a force field or walk across an invisible bridge to progress, which this is mostly used for. However, you can still fight in the state using a spirit bow. It doesn't do much damage, but it's a cool thing to use, and it does come in handy sometimes. You also have Tommy's spirit animal, who helps you in combat, and also helps you find your way throughout the sphere. Pretty helpful. Now, the Spirit Walk itself, I didn't find myself using it all that often in combat like I think they intended it to, so as unique as it is, I do feel like it's still an underutilized power. I mean, come on, you have the ability to separate your soul from your body, and the best thing that you can do with it is open doors? Really? Fuck out of here. Moving a bit further with this form, it is also introduced that every time that you die, you're forced to participate in essentially a minigame where you have to shoot red and blue spirits with your spirit bow to build up your health meter and spirit walk meter respectively. It takes you right back into the gameplay after a few seconds, so I find it pretty cool that it's all in real time, although the problem is it puts you right back where you left off, and you don't deal any extra damage or have any sort of invulnerability for a couple seconds or anything, no. So that just means that 1, you could die again as quick as you just returned and go right back to the shooting gallery, and that 2, death might as well be pointless in the world of Prey, as there was no set amount of times that you can come back. You can die as much as you fucking please, there's no penalty, trust me. So, as cool of a concept as this is, it's very flawed and comes off as handholdy. Another thing you're probably gonna love or probably hate is how much the game tries to shock you within the first half, as it pretty much forgets about doing that later on. Only spoiling just this sequence from very early on in the game, one of these moments involves, well, just watch.
Oh, this can't be good.
Yeah, you're not blind or anything. A ghost on the ship just killed children. Now, depending on who you are, you're probably thinking to yourself, how did they get away with this? Or, holy shit, this is really edgy for the sake of being edgy. And honestly, you've both got a point. I'm rather torn on this myself, as to me, this is a really memorable sequence that catches you off guard, showcasing how the aliens show no mercy to anyone or anything when it comes to finding food for the sphere. Yet, at the same time, to me, this also comes off as an attempt to garner free publicity. It also doesn't help much that afterwards the ghost kids start to attack you, so you are then able to start shooting the ghost kids back. Like so. Moving on from, well, that, another con I'd say is the game's length. I was able to beat it in around 4 hours, but that's including deaths partnered with the shooting gallery minigame as padding, so you could actually beat it faster than I did. With how short it actually is, it feels like it was reflected within the story itself as well, with how fast plot lines and other sequences get introduced and finished before you even know it. For example, the ghost children shit from earlier only lasts 1 level, never comes up again, might as well not even be there in my opinion. Another instance is later in the game where Tommy finally meets his rescuers, a small society of escaped captives called the Hidden. It takes less than 1 level for the Hidden to get found out and their hideout to be destroyed. Barely even get to know them. While not everything about Prey is top-notch, like the story not being fully fleshed out, the acting being inconsistently good and bad,
I want those bastards dead. All of them, whatever it takes. I came here only to kill you.
it's dreadfully short length, the game only having 2 boss fights, etc. In my opinion, it's still a testament to how to make a good classic shooter with modern elements, despite certain aspects not being great, despite being in development hell since 1995. Despite everything going against it, it succeeds in making a fun but short FPS experience. So, would I recommend Prey? Fuck yeah, I would. If you forced me to rate it, I'd probably give it about a 7.5. Is it the best thing ever? Well, no, obviously. As stated, not everything about it is fantastic, but it still has a lot of great factors about it while also being enjoyable as all hell. Now, while the new Prey reboot is drastically different from the originally planned sequel, and takes way more inspiration from other different games rather than the original, I'm still interested in seeing where this new direction for the series takes us. I mean, Dishonored wasn't bad, and the reboot's being done by the same team, but will it be good as the original? Well, only time will tell. But no matter where the series goes from here, the original will always be a standout classic of the 7th gen. That can never change.